The people who break you the deepest are always the ones you trusted with the softest parts of your soul. The camera moves slowly through a dim, quiet apartment somewhere in the United States. Evening light leaks through half-closed blinds, painting thin shadows across a living room that still feels warm from the life that used to exist here. A jacket hangs on the back of a chair. A half-finished cup of coffee sits on the counter. The television glows silently, showing nothing but the home screen reflection on the nearby wall. And in that soft glow, someone sits alone on the edge of a couch, hands trembling, chest tight, breathing shallow. It's not the dramatic kind of heartbreak you see in movies. It's the quieter kind. The kind that feels like sinking into cold water you didn't know you were standing in. The kind where betrayal doesn't crack loudly. It just spreads through you like frost. The phone sits on the coffee table, screen face down. It hasn't rung. Not in hours. Not since the argument. Not since the moment everything shifted subtly, quietly, without warning, when the person they loved looked at them with eyes that suddenly felt unfamiliar. A single thought sits heavy in the room. I didn't see it coming. I never do. The air feels tight. The apartment feels smaller. The silence feels engineered, almost purposeful. Like the walls are listening. A slow pan to the window shows the outside world moving on, distant traffic. A faint horn echoing through the evening. The sky turning a deep blue. But inside, time feels stuck. Frozen in that moment when the truth finally surfaced. Or maybe, when it finally couldn't be ignored anymore. This is how betrayal appears in real life. Not like thunder, more like a quiet shift in the wind you forgot to notice. The door is still half open from when they left. Not slammed, just left ajar. Like they wanted the exit to feel casual, unimportant, forgettable. But betrayal never feels casual to the one who's left behind. There's a soft, shaky exhale. And then the narration begins. You think betrayal is something loud, something obvious, something that arrives with screaming or accusations or the dramatic collapse of trust. But in dark psychology, betrayal is usually gentle, slow, deliberate. It's the moment someone you love begins to study your weaknesses with the same care they once studied your dreams. It's when affection becomes data, and intimacy becomes a blueprint they can use against you. Manipulators don't betray you suddenly. They prepare you. They condition you. They teach you not to see it. And in this apartment, this quiet, dimly lit American home, the story of that conditioning becomes painfully clear. The camera follows a memory. A kitchen at 2 a.m., lit by a single warm bulb. To people laughing softly, leaning on the counter, sharing pieces of their past. Promises made in whispers. Connections built slowly, deeply, intentionally. Back then, their eyes felt safe. Back then, every touch felt like reassurance. Back then, betrayal was a foreign word. Something that happened to other people. But in the psychology of betrayal, the most dangerous part is how natural it feels at first. How invisible the shift is. How silent the warning signs are. Because betrayal is rarely a single action. It's a slow emotional erosion, a series of withdrawals, a collection of unspoken disappointments, a pattern of subtle manipulations. Disguised as love, the scene fades into a bedroom, washed in cool shadows, the bed unmade, the lamp faint, a pair of shoes on the floor, one tipped over careless, rushed like someone left in a hurry. This is where the emotional unraveling began. It started with shorter conversations, then colder replies. Then the distance you could feel, but couldn't prove. And when the distance finally hurt enough to question, the first tactic arrived: gaslighting. A soft smirk, a quiet sigh, a gentle accusation that you're imagining it, that nothing's wrong, that you're too sensitive, that your perception can't be trusted. This is the beginning of psychological abuse. Not shouting, not violence. Just the slow removal of your confidence in your own reality. The narration deepens, quieter now, therapist-like, as if the voice is sitting beside the viewer, speaking softly in the dimness. Dark psychology teaches us that betrayal isn't born from impulse. It's born from a mindset, a belief that your emotions are tools to be used, not feelings to be respected. Manipulators study what hurts you. They learn what you need. They memorize the exact tone of voice that will make you doubt yourself. And when they withdraw their affection, they watch how you crumble. This emotional withdrawal is intentional. It's a form of silent control, a way of shaping your behavior without ever giving you instructions. You start waiting for them. You start apologizing first. You start shrinking to avoid their disappointment. And slowly, you forget what it feels like to be loved without fear. This is trauma bonding, the psychological glue that forms when someone repeatedly hurts you, then comforts you just enough to keep you from walking away. The highs feel euphoric. The lows feel devastating. The cycle feels addictive. And betrayal, it hides inside the cycle. You don't notice it because the pain and the relief begin to feel like love. The camera cuts to a hallway in an average American apartment building. Gray carpeting, faint humming lights, a row of identical doors. The kind of hallway where thousands of breakups and reconciliations and silent wars unfold behind closed doors. This place has seen betrayal before, and it will see it again, because betrayal isn't rare. It's human. It's psychological. It's a survival strategy for people who never learned how to love without control. The narration shifts deeper, analyzing the emotional brain. People betray for many reasons, some because they fear vulnerability, some because they crave power, some because they need validation from anyone who offers it, some because manipulation is the only language they understand. Toxic people don't see relationships as mutual connections. They see them as systems, inputs and outputs, cause and effect. They test boundaries. They push emotional limits. They observe your reactions the way researchers observe experiments. And when they know they have you, when they sense your loyalty, your attachment, your emotional investment, they begin crafting the betrayal long before you ever feel it. It starts with secrets, with the things they tell others but not you, with emotional walls that rise without warning, with preferences you suddenly aren't allowed to question. The betrayal grows in the shadows and the late-night messages, the double meanings, the subtle flirting they claim is harmless. And by the time you sense the truth, they've already rewritten the narrative. They say you're paranoid. They say you're clingy. They say you're making everything harder than it needs to be. This is not love. This is psychological control. Dark, quiet, strategic. The story shifts again. It's raining outside now. The sound taps softly against the window. The camera captures a slow zoom toward the character sitting on the couch. The same trembling hands, the same tired eyes, the same realization sinking deeper. They replay every moment, every red flag, every instinct they ignored. Every apology they made for things they never did. Because betrayal makes you question yourself more than the person who hurt you. The narration grows warmer, calmer, wiser, like a therapist offering a lifeline. But here is the truth you've struggled to face. What happened to you wasn't stupidity. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't your fault. Manipulators are skilled. Toxic people are patient. And emotional conditioning works slowly, powerfully, invisibly. The pain you feel is real, but so is your ability to break free. The camera shifts. Same apartment, but morning light now. A soft, pale glow. Quiet, gentle, almost hopeful. This is the beginning of emotional clarity. The voice guides the listener through the healing. You learn to recognize red flags. Not the obvious ones anyone can see. Those, but the subtle signs. The emotional distance. The guilt traps. The silent punishments. The shifting blame. The way their affection feels conditional. The way your body tenses Round them without understanding why. You begin rebuilding boundaries. Not by becoming cold, but by becoming aware. Aware of patterns, aware of how love should feel, aware of your own worth. Something betrayal tries to convince you don't have. Healing doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens quietly, like sunrise. It happens when you stop waiting for the person who hurt you to fix what they broke. It happens when you realize closure is something you give yourself. It happens when you understand that protecting your mind is an act of self-love. The apartment feels different now. Lighter, warmer, safer.